Do you ever wonder if the United Nations, as it stands today, is truly equipped to handle the complexities of our modern world? In the aftermath of the Second World War, in 1945, the world saw the birth of the United Nations, an organization built on the ruins of its predecessor, the League of Nations. The UN was created with a clear mandate: to prevent another world war, to promote social progress, and to foster better living standards and human rights. From the ashes of war, the United Nations emerged as a beacon of hope for a world longing for peace. In its early years, the UN was instrumental in addressing post-war reconstruction, decolonization, and the establishment of an international legal order. It played a key role in fostering cooperation among nations and championing human rights. Key achievements, such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and numerous peacekeeping missions, marked the UN's early successes. But the world has changed dramatically since the United Nations was first established. New challenges have emerged, from climate change to cyber warfare, from the rise of non-state actors to the resurgence of old geopolitical rivalries. Over time, the United Nations has evolved and expanded, but has it truly kept pace with the changing world order? The United Nations of today is vastly different from the organization that was created in 1945. From its initial membership of 51 countries, the UN has grown to include nearly 200 nations. It's a diverse family of nations, small and large, developed and developing, each with its own unique set of challenges and perspectives. Over the decades, the UN's mandate has broadened significantly. It's not just about maintaining international peace and security anymore. Today, the UN addresses a plethora of issues from climate change and human rights to sustainable development and global health crises. It's a testament to the UN's adaptability and its commitment to tackling the world's most pressing problems. The UN's journey has not been without its share of successes and failures. Its peacekeeping missions have often been successful in preventing conflicts and rebuilding war-torn societies. However, there have also been instances where the UN was unable to prevent atrocities, leading to loss of life and human suffering. At the same time, the UN's effectiveness has been called into question. Critics argue that the Security Council, with its 5 permanent members wielding veto power, does not reflect the realities of the 21st century. There's a growing call for more representation, especially for countries from Africa, Latin America, and Asia. Moreover, the UN faces an existential challenge. It's grappling with a crisis of legitimacy and relevance in a world marked by growing nationalism, geopolitical rivalries, and a retreat from multilateralism. The very principles that the UN was founded upon, cooperation, mutual respect, and shared responsibility, are being tested. These challenges raise fundamental questions about the need for reform within the United Nations. As the world continues to change, the need for a more responsive and representative United Nations becomes increasingly apparent. The UN's current structure, established in the aftermath of World War II, doesn't quite fit the geopolitical realities of the 21st century. Let's consider the Security Council. Its permanent members reflect the power dynamics of a bygone era, overlooking emerging global players. Proposed reforms include expanding the Council and redefining veto power to reflect the global balance of power more accurately. Next, funding mechanisms. The UN largely depends on voluntary contributions, leading to an unstable and unpredictable budget. Experts propose a system of mandatory assessments to ensure stable funding. Lastly, decision-making. The UN's consensus-driven approach often leads to deadlock. Proposed reforms suggest a shift towards majority voting, allowing swifter, more decisive action. However, implementing these reforms isn't easy. It requires the cooperation of member states, many of whom have vested interests in maintaining the status quo. The reform of the United Nations is not just a matter of bureaucratic reshuffling, but a crucial issue for the future of global governance. The United Nations, for all its flaws, remains an indispensable part of our global system. From its inception, the UN has been the cornerstone of international peace and security, fostering cooperation between nations and promoting human rights. Yet, as we've discussed, the organization is not without its challenges. Over the decades, the UN has evolved to meet the changing needs of the global community, but it's clear that more substantial reform is needed. The world has changed dramatically since the UN was established, and the organization must adapt to address contemporary issues, from climate change to cyber warfare. The potential implications of UN reform are profound. A more effective UN could foster greater international cooperation, improve global governance, and more efficiently address the world's most pressing problems. But the path to reform is not easy. It will require political will, diplomatic skill, and a commitment to the principles that underpin the UN. The question is, are we ready to make the necessary changes to ensure that this vital institution can effectively serve the needs of our rapidly changing world?